The strain of navigating daily through unrelenting stage 5 and 6 power cuts is taking its toll. The outlook for winter, we know, is a bleak one, and we've hardly started winter. And of course, it's small businesses who really are taking the brunt of the load shedding because they are probably least equipped to manage these daily disruptions. eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu is following the story and joins us now. Manqoba, thanks so much. You have been around and about in Johannesburg. We know that load shedding takes a toll, particularly on small businesses. But talk to me about how these small businesses are doing in Johannesburg, and not only from a sort of bottom line financial point of view, but also in terms of sapping their energy, their emotional energy and their will and desire to push to do better in their businesses.
Well, Sel, I can tell you that many businesses are certainly struggling due to load shedding. And of course, it has been quite a number of months that we've seen load shedding, I think since September last year, Sally, where we have been in load shedding just except for 1 or 2 days since September last year. And of course, it has taken its toll on many of the small businesses that are really struggling to stay afloat. Many of them are saying that they're even struggling to keep their doors open because of the costs that they now have to incur as a result of load shedding. I spoke to quite a number of businesses in Soweto, smaller businesses, Sally, that say that they now have to dig deeper into their pockets each and every day to try and get the businesses operating, to keep the lights on, especially when it comes to generators. Many of the businesses saying that they've had no choice but to try and buy generators, as expensive as they are. And also now what is becoming another burden financially is having to buy diesel for those generators to keep them going when the lights do go off. And of course, with about 11 hours, Sally, of load shedding daily, you can imagine how these businesses are coping, and many of them are saying that it has been hard, and they are wondering whether the situation is going to improve or not. I spoke to one business in Soweto that says, Sally, they're spending an average of 30,000 Rand a month just on diesel alone. And when you look at the number of customers that they're getting, they're saying that it doesn't equate to the money that they're spending on diesel just to keep that business alight. And they're saying that, Sally, they're even not very optimistic as far as the future is concerned as to whether their business will survive for long. Remember, Sally, these are businesses that also were affected by COVID-19 just a few years ago. They were hardly affected, and many of them still trying to recover following COVID-19. And so load shedding has added an extra burden for these businesses who are really battling to keep their doors open. But earlier on, Sally, I did speak to one of the businesses. They're saying that they're now just clinging to hope that the situation is going to improve. But according to experts, it's not promising at this particular point. But take a listen to what this business owner had to say just about the cost that they're spending daily on load shedding.
As a business, we have definitely been impacted by the load shedding, in a sense that as it is now, we have had to upgrade our generator, which is using more diesel, which means now we are taking the capital that we were supposed to use for staff training and buying other necessary assets for the business. We are now plowing back that capital directly into solving the issue of electricity to make sure that we keep the lights on for the restaurant, because as you can imagine, we keep a lot of food in the fridge, and the fridge cannot go off at any day. So we definitely are impacted by the load shedding.
And there's a sense that we might be kept in the dark on another level as well. Anecdotally, a lot of us are saying it just feels like much more intense than stage 6. It just feels like many areas are sitting in the dark. Anecdotally, I was driving home the other evening, Friday evening. I drove through 5 suburbs. Every single suburb was without power. And if you think of the high density population here in Johannesburg, that is a lot of power that we are shedding. But you've also asked the experts this question, like, are we actually way higher than stage 6? What did they say?
Well, so I can tell you that when you speak to most people here on the streets of Johannesburg, they'll tell you, Sally, that the load shedding that they're experiencing is much more intense. I mean, they're having to spend many hours in the dark. You know, the stages that we're seeing now and the cycles that we're seeing now are about 4.5 hours, two cycles of 4.5 hours and one of 2.5 hours. And many households will tell you, Sally, that they simply can't even do the simplest of home chores that they have to do, like cooking, you know, like washing, and even, you know, working from home, which has been something that some people have been doing since COVID-19. And when you speak to the experts, Sally, they'll tell you the same, that from what it appears like, it certainly doesn't look like it's stage 6 load shedding, even though Eskom has come out to say that it is in fact stage 6 and that it has been capped to stage 6. The experts saying that even though Eskom is saying that, it certainly doesn't feel like stage 6. But take a listen to what one of those experts that we spoke to had to say on this, Sally.
Officially, we're on stage 6 from the Eskom perspective, and Eskom has denied that we jumped into stage 8. But last Thursday, they did issue a statement that there's 7,000 megawatts that is out of commission. And once you go over 7, you are actually in stage 8, but it wasn't officially a stage 8 load shedding. But what people need to understand is that some areas are supplied by Eskom and some areas are supplied by municipalities. So Eskom can hit stage 6, but people could still be suffering from much longer load shedding hours because of the distribution network at the municipal level. So the municipal networks are not managed by Eskom.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, that we've got the municipalities also sort of deciding what goes out where on the direction and guidance of Eskom. But yeah, maybe that accounts for it. And of course, let's not forget, we've also got load curtailment, where big businesses are told to reduce their power, and then load reduction, where areas that have a history of no payment or low payment are just cut for a few hours. So there is a lot of electricity that is not available to our grid at any given time, and it is indeed taking its toll. Manqoba, thank you so much for chatting to us this afternoon. Now, still